welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty different. Forget that creepy Big Brother surveillance idea. We're diving into a concept that totally flips that, imagine, like a hyper-cool strategy game. But you're battling cyber threats from inside the digital world. A bit like stepping into the Matrix, maybe, but with, real strategy involved.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been digging into the source materials for Outer Haven, Inner Demon, and it's a really unique blend. Think Metal Gear, the really deep lore aspects, but layered with these almost cryptic code-like elements, and the whole thing's got this neon aesthetic. Feels very cutting edge, but also kind of timeless.
Right, totally. And the source material even throws out this wild comparison. Funko Pops invading Azeroth. That gives you a sense of the unexpected vibe here, like a real genre mashup.
Definitely.
And the developer seems like a total enigma.
Very mysterious.
They've got this amazing slogan, fueled by emanations, not nation dollars. Which, okay, aside from the dollar sign, also says, who needs a dull old budget? It just grabs you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. So our mission today, basically, is to explore these speculative ideas. The potential gameplay, what this Outer Haven, Inner Demon thing could actually be based on the materials we've got.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The doc suggests we can view the whole Outer Heaven system as a kind of digital world in miniature. Like it's constantly trying to find equilibrium, fighting off cyber threats, which are described in this almost mystical way, Klipothic intrusions. Sounds intense.
It does sound intense. And you can think of those Klipothic intrusions as maybe super sophisticated malware, stuff that normal defenses just can't easily figure out. And the sources draw this really interesting parallel. They talk about the system's core functions: monitoring, analysis, refining, creating, acting. And they liken it to the alchemical process, solve et coagulate.
Solve and coagulate, break down and build up.
Exactly. Break down the threats to understand them, then build up new defenses. It's presented as this sort of digital adaptation, digital protection through transformation.
Okay, but here's where it gets really mind-bending. They touch on Outer Heaven, maybe becoming a digital egregore, like an independent collective consciousness.
Yeah, or maybe tapping into the new sphere, that idea of this interconnected layer of human and AI thought.
Wow.
The concept of a unity of souls for collective defense actually comes up, so it's implying it's not just software. There's this intelligence layer, maybe emergent.
A synergy then,
Right.
between human strategy and AI processing power.
Precisely. That seems to be the implication, a much more insightful and robust defense against attacks.
Okay, so let's break down the components through this lens. First up is GLOX, the orchestrator vault, also called the gateway imbalancer. How does that fit into these, esoteric ideas? And maybe more practically, how might it work in this strategy game concept?
Right, GLX. Well, Kabbalistically, you could maybe see it as a central sephira, perhaps Tiferet balance, harmony, which really highlights its job as the central decision maker. In a game, that might mean you, the player, have to carefully manage GLOX, keep things balanced. If it gets overloaded, the whole system's vulnerable.
Makes sense.
Hermetically speaking, it embodies principles like correspondence, linking the intelligence side to the action side, and polarity, definitely, in how it vets the agents. Like making sure your defensive units are the right kind for the threat you're facing, and the orchestration itself, that reflects rhythm, managing the timing, the flow of defensive actions.
And you mentioned thelemic interpretations. That's not something you usually see tied to cybersecurity tech.
No, it's unusual, but in that framework, GLOX could represent focused will applied digitally. You're directing your AI agents towards that clear goal protection, guided by your strategy, your policies, and the verification process for agents. That becomes like a trial, making sure they're ready, capable, before you deploy them.
They're proving their worth.
Sort of, yeah. Symbolically, it's the gatekeeper, maintaining the purity, the integrity of your defenses. So in the game, a strong GLOX likely means your agents deploy more reliably, more effectively.
Okay, interesting. Next is Motherbird SDK, the tooling incubator, the womb of creation. Sounds like where you develop new strategies, new tools.
That's exactly it. Kabbalistically, Motherbird resonates with Bina, the Great Mother, understanding, the source of new forms. It takes the raw intelligence, presumably from Oracle, we'll get to that, and shapes it into tangible defensive tools.
Yeah.
Hermetically, it embodies gender. You could see the SDK as the active creator. Maybe the AI lab part holds the potential for generation. And cause and effect, too. New threats emerge, and that causes the need for new defensive measures, which Motherbird affects.
And the AI lab part.
The AI lab could reflect mentalism, the idea of an AI mind generating solutions in the form of code, basics.
And the alchemical view on this womb of creation.
Alchemically, Mother Bird is the Athenor, the furnace, the vessel where solutions are gestated, brought into being. The SDK provides the prima materia, the raw stuff, the basic building blocks. And the AI lab adds the spark, the generative force. Think of it in game terms. The SDK gives you the parts list, the AI lab lets you combine them, invent new defenses.
Got it, like your R&D workshop.
Exactly. Symbolically, it's the engine of adaptation. The sources even hint at a link to Sophia, divine wisdom, creativity.
Okay, moving on to OracleBot, the AI advisor. Described as the Ogoides or higher geniuses. Sounds like our main intelligence hub.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Kabbalistically, Oracle represents the higher Sephiroth, maybe Chakma, wisdom, receiving info from Kether, the ultimate data source, and reflecting it down to influence Motherbird and GLOX. Its predictive side could touch on NetSac, intuition. Hermetically, it embodies mentalism processing huge amounts of data and correspondence understanding global threats to protect your local system, your game instance. The predictions relate to cause and effect, rhythm, and it operates across this metaphorical chiral network to get information.
Chiral network.
Yeah, think of it like a web of interconnected threat intelligence feeds it taps into.
Okay, and the thelemic angle on this higher geniuses? That sounds particularly mystical.
It does. OracleBot is seen as analogous to the Holy Guardian Angel, or the Ogoides, providing that high-level strategic guidance, foresight, connecting you to the bigger picture of threats out there. Its job is to illuminate dangers, suggest strategies. Symbolically, it's the seer, the source of gnosis or deep insight.
So in the game, Oracle is giving you the heads up, warnings of attacks, suggesting countermeasures.
That seems like the most direct translation, yes. Your early warning system and strategic advisor rolled into one.
Right. Finally, the AI modules. Inner demons, immune agents, sometimes called elemental forces. These sound like our actual units on the digital battlefield.
Exactly. These are your boots on the ground, so to speak. Kabbalistically, they function in the lower Sephiroth, Netzach, Had, Yesod, Malkuth. They're carrying out the will that's coordinated by GLOX. Each agent has a specific job.
And the elemental mapping.
It's suggestive. Network agents might be air or water, fluid, moving. Endpoint agents protecting specific machines could be earth, grounded. Analysis agents, maybe fire, consuming data. And the higher functions, GLOX, Oracle, Motherbird, could be seen as aether or spirit, the coordinating intelligence.
Okay. And the occult view. Familiar spirits.
Yeah, like familiar spirits bound by GLOX's verification. They perform specific tasks. The idea of them going rogue is framed as a failure of that binding, a breakdown in control or programming. It needs banishing, like retiring a compromised agent.
So gameplay-wise, these are different unit types, each with strengths, weaknesses against different kinds of cyber threats.
That's the logical conclusion. You're specialized defenders.
So this isn't just algorithms fighting algorithms. There's this whole symbolic layer woven deep into the concept. How does this actually translate into playing the game? What would it look like, feel like?
Well, the potential is huge for a really engaging strategy game.
Right.
Where you, the listener, you're the digital strategist, right? And those esoteric interpretations, they can directly inform the mechanics. Imagine using Oracle for predictions, literally seeing potential attack paths light up on your strategic map before they hit.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Motherbird becomes your R&D. You're developing new defenses, maybe adapting existing agents based on what Oracle is telling you about the threats.
So definitely not staring at boring spreadsheets. What kind of visuals are we talking about?
The sources suggest a clean, modern style, maybe even a Kojima-inspired, that kind of sleek, almost abstract aesthetic. Think dynamic network diagrams showing connections, vulnerabilities, shield icons that maybe evolve or pulse to show defense strength, stylized icons for AI light bulbs, brains maybe, gears or incubator symbols for Motherbird's creation process, visuals showing collaboration perhaps. The key seems to be conveying complex information clearly, stylishly. The focus is on protection, intelligence, coordination, not, explosions and aggressive stuff.
That actually sounds really appealing. A strategy game I might genuinely want to play.
Yeah.
Now, the documentation also talks about the problem Outer Heaven is trying to solve. Paints a pretty messy picture of the current cybersecurity world.
It does. Yeah, the sources highlight the obvious things, threats getting more sophisticated all the time. But also, tool sprawl companies juggling dozens of different security products, and alert fatigue. This is a big one.
Yeah.
Security teams get so bombarded with warnings, they end up ignoring a huge chunk of them. Over half, some reports say.
Wow, over half.
Yeah, which leads to being reactive, always playing catch up, plus the talent shortage, the high cost of breaches. It's a tough landscape.
So Outer Heaven is positioning itself as the answer to this fragmented, overwhelming situation.
That's the pitch. An integrated system built on deep analysis, adaptability, offering a more proactive, intelligent defense.
Okay, and to give this some grounding in reality, the documents mentioned the team needed and a roadmap. What's the gist there?
Well, they emphasize needing a really top-tier team, expertise across cybersecurity, AML, platform engineering, software dev, business leadership, the works. The initial seed stage roadmap focuses on getting that core team, nailing down the architecture, and building basic prototypes of GLOX, Oracle, Motherbird. That's like months 1 to 6.
Yeah, after that.
Months 7 to 12 are about getting to an MVP, a minimum viable product, doing some initial AI validation, getting early design partners involved for fieldback.
And they're looking beyond that, too.
Oh, yeah. Subsequent stages mention Series A funding, beta testing, enhancing the AI, maybe a marketplace for GLOX components, commercial partnerships, sales, marketing, eventually general availability, expanding features, growing an ecosystem. It suggests a pretty long-term vision.
Okay, now for something completely different, but also really creative. This Outer Heaven, Inner Demon vinyl realm. This sounds like where that Funko Pop's and Azeroth idea gets, physical.
It absolutely does. It's a fascinating way to extend the whole concept beyond the screen, creating actual tangible figures of these cyber sentinels, collectibles. And each one is meant to be unique name, ability, a symbolic artifact, distinct look, even a symbolic affiliation, tying back to those Kabbalistic or Hermetic ideas we talked about.
Super detailed. And there's a rare one.
Yep. The Eye in the Circuit, described as ultra rare, a chiral guardian. It supposedly has a dual phase mode, an NFC chip so it glows, and even allegedly unstable properties, adds that chase element,
Definitely.
And the design for all of them is meant to be clean, manufacturable, that popular stylized aesthetic, but also engineered for 3D printing.
The descriptions are amazing. GLOX with a hex lock crown, Oracle 44 using an Ethernet cable as a cape, Daemon Rhythmic U with a boombox in his chest. Seriously.
Yeah. It makes these abstract digital things feel much more real, engaging, and it doesn't stop there. They tease a wave 2, the protocol eidolons with their own abilities, lore, and level 2 evolutions, upgraded forms, enhanced powers, more of that Outer Heaven aesthetic.
Wow.
They even mention a chiral ascension display altar to showcase your collection. Like a physical map of your strategic layers in the game.
It's like the game world is literally bleeding out into reality, giving you this physical connection to your digital defenses.
Precisely. It's a really imaginative way to bridge that virtual physical gap.
Okay, shifting back to the tech side just for a sec. The user guide mentions logs getting streamed places and a live HUD. That really plays into that real-time strategy game feel.
It does. The fact that system logs go to vaultevents.log, Grafana for visuals, maybe even Discord or Slack, it gives you that sense of constant awareness. And that chiralconsole.ps1 script they mention, streaming events like vault unlocks, threats, snapshots in near real time, that absolutely feels like monitoring a live tactical display.
Right, like your command center view. And the integrated CI/CD pipeline with GitHub Actions, that suggests it's not just vaporware.
Exactly. Having automated processes for building, testing, deploying updates, handling secrets securely, it points towards a mature, actively maintained platform, even conceptually.
So wrapping this all up, this Outer Heaven, Inner Daemon idea, it's not just another security product pitch. It's framed as this incredibly cool, almost gamified way to handle digital defense inside this kind of matrix-like digital world.
Right. We've gone through the thematic depth, those surprising symbolic interpretations, the potential for strategy gameplay, the unique visuals, and even that really creative leap into physical collectibles.
Yeah. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, consider how reframing cybersecurity, not just as this technical chore, but as an engaging strategic game with these interconnected parts, even physical representations. Could that fundamentally change how we approach digital defense? How we interact with these super complex systems? And what about that development model? Fueled by emanations, not dollars. What does that even imply? It definitely leaves you with a lot to chew on after this deep dive.